Across Canada's breathtaking landscapes, every journey begins with hope, booking a hotel room, expecting comfort and safety. But sometimes, reality shatters those expectations, turning dreams into ordeals. Join us as we pull back the covers and reveal the hidden truths of Canada's most notorious hotels. The journey begins now. Toronto, Canada's largest city, dazzles with energy and promise. But in the shadow of the CN Tower lies the downtown Gateway Inn, a hotel infamous for its shocking hygiene issues. Guests report filth, pests, and health risks, with public health records confirming repeated violations. The downtown Gateway Inn stands as a cautionary tale of neglect in hospitality. To understand the persistence of such squalor, one must look beyond the individual room and examine the ecosystem of the hotel itself. The problem at the downtown Gateway Inn appears to be one of deeply ingrained institutional apathy. The chorus of complaints points towards a management structure that is, at best, unresponsive and at worst, actively dismissive of the legitimate concerns raised by its patrons. When a guest reports a serious hygiene issue, the expected response is immediate action. Here, however, the common narrative is one of shrugged shoulders, empty promises, and a frustrating lack of accountability. Consider the life cycle of a complaint in this environment. It begins with the guest's discovery: a soiled towel, evidence of pests, a foul odor emanating from the plumbing. The guest then navigates the difficult path to the front desk, hoping for resolution. But time and again, reports detail how these pleas for basic cleanliness are met with deflection. Staff, perhaps poorly trained or simply overwhelmed, offer excuses instead of solutions. We are fully booked, some are told, leaving them trapped in their unsanitary room. Others are promised a deep clean that never materializes, a phantom service that exists only in words. This pattern of inaction creates a feedback loop of decay. When vermin are not professionally and systematically eradicated, their populations explode. When mold is simply painted over instead of being properly remediated, it continues to fester within the walls, releasing spores into the air that guests breathe throughout the night. The very structure of the building becomes a reservoir of filth. Each new guest checks into a room that carries the biological legacy of all who came before, a silent, invisible accumulation of neglect that compounds with every passing day of inaction. Ultimately, the downtown Gateway Inn serves as a powerful case study in the economics of disregard. The cost of proper pest control, of rigorous staff training, of replacing worn and stained furnishings is weighed against the revenue from unsuspecting tourists. In this calculation, it seems, the guests' health and comfort have lost. It is a business model that relies on a constant churn of new visitors who are unaware of the hotel's reputation, a predatory cycle that traps the uninformed. For those seeking refuge in Toronto, the name Gateway has become a warning. This is one gate that is best left unopened. Vancouver, a city of stunning views and laid-back charm, is home to the Pacific Panorama Suites, where hidden hotel fees turn dreams into disappointment. Guests are lured by attractive rates, only to face a barrage of unexplained charges at checkout. The result? A final bill far higher than expected, leaving travelers feeling deceived. The Pacific Panorama Suites hides fees in dense fine print, banking on guests missing them in the rush of travel. Staff point to obscure clauses, blaming guests for not reading every detail. It's a calculated assault on your wallet, one that tarnishes trust in Vancouver's hospitality. Always scrutinize the price tag. In old Montreal, history lingers in every stone, and at Hotel Le Spectre it's said the past never left. Guests whisper of creaking floors, cold draughts and shadows that move on their own. Legends tell of a tragic fire, and spirits who remain, woven into the hotel's very walls. For travelers, a night here is a test of nerve, where the line between safety and the supernatural blurs. Beyond ghostly whispers, Hotel Le Spectre's real threats are far more tangible and dangerous. Its age brings charm, but also crumbling walls, sparking outlets, and sagging floors. Fire hazards and water damage lurk everywhere. Even the fire escapes are unreliable. Security is lax, with flimsy locks and unattended desks. Here, the dangers, supernatural and structural, are all too real. In the shadow of the Rocky Mountains, the dynamic city of Calgary attracts a steady stream of travelers, drawn by the promise of natural beauty and economic opportunity. Within this bustling metropolis, however, certain establishments have adapted to exploit this influx of visitors. The Calgary Inn, a structure of unremarkable design, has perfected a particularly insidious strategy of financial predation. Its initial offerings, advertised online and on roadside billboards, appear deceptively appealing, a low-cost oasis in an often expensive city. This is the lure, the carefully constructed bait designed to draw in the unwary, the budget-conscious traveler seeking simple, honest lodging. Once the guest is committed, the trap is sprung. A cascade of previously unmentioned fees and surcharges begins to materialize on the bill, a tactic of deliberate obfuscation. A resort fee is charged, despite the complete absence of any resort-like amenities. A safe usage fee is automatically added, whether the guest uses the in-room safe or not. Even the use of the television remote control can incur a mysterious electronics package charge. Each fee is small enough on its own to seem like a minor annoyance, but together they form a pattern of systematic exploitation, a death by 1,000 cuts to the traveler's wallet. This is the hotel's true business model, a complex web of hidden costs. At the Calgary Inn, deception is woven into every step of the guest experience. Online, guests see bright modern rooms and enticing amenities. In reality, they find cramped, shabby spaces and broken promises. The difference is no accident. It's the hotel's strategy. Here, guests' expectations are baited, switched, and ultimately consumed for profit. In the heart of Canada's capital, a city defined by diplomacy and governance, there stands an establishment that seems to have declared independence from the very concept of service. The Parliament View Hotel, despite its prestigious name, operates less like a hospitality business and more like a bureaucratic fortress, impenetrable to the needs and requests of its guests. Here, the staff are not hosts, but gatekeepers, guardians of a kingdom of profound indifference. Their defining characteristic is a practiced apathy, a shield against the ceaseless tide of visitor inquiries. This is a habitat where the guest is not a welcome visitor, but, well, an inconvenient interruption. The check-in process is the guest's first encounter with this institutional coldness. Long, slow-moving queues are the norm, even during off-peak hours. The front desk staff, when finally reached, move with a glacial slowness, their faces blank masks of disinterest. They avoid eye contact, mumbling responses and treating simple questions about parking or Wi-Fi as profound impositions on their time. This is not the behavior of individuals just having a bad day. It is a consistent, observable pattern, a cultural adaptation that permeates the entire organization. The initial welcome is a clear signal of the experience to come. You are not valued here. The Parliament view hotel's neglect is everywhere: peeling paint, dirty rooms, and poor service. Housekeeping is inconsistent, leaving rooms unclean and bathrooms grimy. The restaurant is slow, staff are indifferent, and food arrives cold. This isn't a rare slip, but a pattern. For travelers in Ottawa, it's a place best avoided. In the heart of Quebec City stands the Citadel Inn, a fortress now besieged, not by storms but by a blizzard of negative online reviews. Former guests, armed with keyboards, recount a disconnect between glossy promises and harsh reality. The same complaints echo again and again, forming a digital warning for future travelers. The Citadel Inn stands as a cautionary tale, proof that in the digital age, reputation is everything. Disappointment begins at check-in, where indifference greets weary travelers. The lobby feels cold, staff disengaged. Rooms reveal neglect, worn furnishings, musty odors, thin walls. Noise seeps in, privacy fades. For guests seeking refuge, these failures turn a sanctuary into a source of stress. The final straw? Simply wanting to leave. In Edmonton, the Gateway Hotel stands as a microcosm of neglect, where poor hygiene is not just visible, but deeply felt. Guests document thick dust, hair, and grime, evidence of a hidden world thriving in the absence of proper cleaning. The result? A place meant for rest becomes a source of anxiety and risk, especially for the vulnerable. When trust in cleanliness is broken, every surface feels hostile, turning a hotel stay into a test of endurance. The consequences of such poor hygiene ripple outwards, affecting every aspect of the guest's experience. It begins with a sense of unease, a creeping feeling that one is not truly alone in the room. This primal reaction to uncleanliness is deeply ingrained in our species. We are, instinctively repulsed by filth because for millennia it has been associated with disease and danger. The Edmonton Gateway Hotel, according to these reports, triggers this ancient alarm, making genuine relaxation an impossibility. The mind cannot rest when the body feels it is under siege from an invisible enemy. This constant state of low-level alert erodes any potential for enjoyment. A bed is no longer a welcoming comfort, but a landscape to be inspected for stains and stray hairs. The complimentary towels are held up to the light, scrutinized for any sign of previous use. The simple act of walking barefoot on the carpet becomes a calculated risk. Every interaction with the environment is fraught with suspicion. This is a deeply stressful way to exist, turning a much-needed period of rest into an exhausting ordeal of vigilance and avoidance, a complete inversion of the purpose of a hotel. The narrative of poor hygiene often extends to the common areas of the hotel. Elevators with sticky floors, corridors with a faint, unpleasant odor, and breakfast areas with uncleared tables all contribute to the overarching impression of systemic neglect. It suggests that the problem is not confined to a few overlooked rooms, but is part of the hotel's very culture. The entire organism, it seems, is unwell. This reinforces the guests' initial fears, confirming that their concerns are not an overreaction, but a correct assessment of a genuinely unsanitary environment. The problem is pervasive, deep-seated. Ultimately, The story of the Edmonton Gateway Hotel is a stark illustration of a fundamental principle. Cleanliness is not a luxury. It is the bedrock upon which the entire edifice of hospitality is built. Without it, everything else, the decor, the amenities, the location, becomes utterly irrelevant. A guest may forgive a dated television or a slow internet connection, but the violation of personal cleanliness is a transgression that is rarely forgotten or forgiven. It is a profound failure that leaves a lasting and overwhelmingly negative impression, ensuring the guest will not return to this particular territory. In the heart of Winnipeg stands the Downtowner Inn, a place where the promise of sanctuary is broken. Guests report broken locks, unsecured doors, and dark corridors, creating a habitat of hazard. Here, the illusion of safety vanishes, leaving travelers exposed and responsible for their own security. The consequences of this lax security are not merely hypothetical. The digital record is littered with unsettling anecdotes of direct encounters that have resulted from these vulnerabilities. Guests report being disturbed by strangers knocking on their doors late at night, or encountering non-guests wandering the hallways, seemingly without purpose. These incidents shatter the peace and transform the hotel from a place of rest into a stage for random and potentially threatening human drama. Each encounter is a stark reminder of the porous security, a jolt of adrenaline that makes sleep impossible. The stories also speak of conflicts and disturbances spilling over from the surrounding area into the hotel itself. The line between the outside world and the inn's interior appears to be blurred, with noise and altercations from the street echoing through the corridors. A well-run establishment acts as a filter, a buffer that insulates its guests from the chaos of the city. Here that filter appears to have failed. The inn, instead of being a refuge from the urban environment, becomes an extension of its most unpredictable elements, forcing guests into a state of heightened, stressful awareness. The response from the hotel management, when these safety concerns are raised, is another critical part of the narrative. Guests frequently report that their fears are dismissed or downplayed. This institutional indifference is perhaps the most damning indictment of all. It suggests a fundamental disconnect between the management and their duty of care. When a guest, feeling vulnerable, reaches out for reassurance and is met with apathy, their sense of isolation and danger is magnified tenfold. It is a profound betrayal of trust at the moment it is needed most. Ultimately, the Downtowner Inn in Winnipeg serves as a powerful case study in the ecology of fear. An environment, whether natural or man-made, is defined by the behavior it encourages and permits. An ecosystem of neglect with its broken locks, dark corners, and indifferent management creates the perfect conditions for insecurity to fester. It becomes a habitat where the guest, the very organism it is meant to protect, feels like prey. This is the ultimate failure of hospitality, a transformation of a promised sanctuary into a landscape of palpable risk. On the windswept coast of Nova Scotia, Halifax welcomes travelers with maritime charm and promises of comfort. The Halifax Harbourfront Hotel entices with stunning views and glowing online reviews. But beneath the surface, hidden fees lurk, resort charges, Wi-Fi costs, and more. Guests only discover the true cost at checkout, often shocked by a bill much higher than expected. The memory of Halifax's beauty is tarnished by the sting of hidden fees. Let's examine the anatomy of this financial ambush. The destination marketing fee and resort fee appear as helpful or standard, but their true nature is often hidden. Online booking sites highlight low prices, but bury extra charges. At checkout, staff normalize these fees as policy. The guest, tired and outmatched, pays the inflated bill, another successful ambush. Victoria, British Columbia, a city of old-world elegance and manicured gardens. The Empress Regent Hotel stands as a monument to its past glory. But step inside and faded grandeur gives way to neglect, worn carpets, tired furniture, and a musty air. Guest rooms reveal cramped spaces and peeling wallpaper far from the glossy photos. The Empress Regent now survives on reputation alone, a faded relic in a vibrant city. The collapse of service is more damning than physical decay. A grand hotel is defined by its people. The promise is attentive, professional, and courteous staff. At the Empress Regent, this promise is broken. Reports describe a service culture of indifference and hostility. Staff reflect management's neglect, their morale threadbare. Check-in can be a frustrating ordeal. Guests describe long, slow-moving queues. Requests for specific rooms are often ignored. The initial welcome is one of weary resignation. This is not a thriving colony, but one under immense stress. The system fails from the first point of contact. Once in the room, service problems continue. Simple requests can go unanswered for hours. Housekeeping can be perfunctory, leaving dusty surfaces. Service is delivered without pride or care. Each ignored request bleeds the guest's patience dry. The hotel becomes a source of constant stress. Guests feel utterly undervalued. Guests are treated as inconveniences, not patrons. The high price feels like a swindle. Worst experiences come from accumulated disappointments. It is a death by 1,000 cuts, leaving only bitter memories. As we journey across this vast land, we see that not all is as it seems. Hidden fees, fading grandeur, and digital illusions can turn dreams into disappointment. The modern traveler must be vigilant, always read reviews, look for patterns, and let the experiences of others guide you. An informed traveler is a safe traveler. Like and subscribe for more travel insights.